everybody. Welcome to the Healthy Movement Workshop. Really excited to share. I was just talking to our live audience. I was going through the slides this weekend, and I always just, I try to update the slides, but in this case, I feel like this workshop just becomes more relevant and more relevant and more relevant every year. Who knew that we were going to go from computers to cell phones to scrolling, and it's just become a bigger and bigger problem. And so this workshop's all about healthy movement, because the way we work out, the way we move has got to change. Our lifestyle has changed, and yet I'm still seeing these workouts or these types of workouts or types of lifting that just shouldn't be done with patients or clients or people who've been sitting at a computer all day. And so this workshop goes way back. I love the fact that I wrote this in a Scorpio rage on an airplane. I drank way too much coffee at one of my favorite coffee shops. This was a long time. This must have been when I first opened my practice. I was going to a seminar in San Francisco, visiting some friends over there. And I went to my favorite coffee shop, which was pretty stupid, before getting on a 6-hour plane ride, and birthed the Healthy Movement Workshop. And I've done it at everywhere from the Federal Reserve, which is kind of funny. They asked me to do a workshop on how to move your body if you sit too much. Bankers sit all day, every day. So it was a really fun workshop to do there, and I've done it all over the place, and of course I do it once a year for my patients. I think the most common question I get, one of the most common questions I get as a chiropractor, whether you're a patient or not, especially when I'm trying to work out at the gym, is, Dr. Jamie, is this good for me? Dr. Jamie, should I do this workout? Dr. Jamie, what workout should I do? What shouldn't I do? The problem with that question is there's an infinite amount of exercises on the planet. I don't know if you're a strength trainer. I don't know if you do Pilates, right? I don't know if you do yoga. There's an infinite amount of exercise people do, types of exercise. So I can't really give you that answer. I don't know what you're doing. But if I could teach you the biomechanics, you could make an educated decision whether you're going to do it or not. And like I said, when I did my reel today, every time I go to the gym or walk into places like I had a meeting at the YMCA this morning, I sometimes have to go in like this, because I'm still amazed that people are still doing things that maybe they learned 50 years ago that now they show that is harmful and they shouldn't be doing. So this is a great workshop for people who work out. It's also a good workshop for people who need to work out. Maybe they're afraid to go back to the gym. Maybe they're starting to feel better, especially in my office. And now they're like, okay, well, I want to go to the gym, but I don't want to hurt Dr. Jamie's work. So this will be good for that too. All right, so you guys ready? All right, so here's a few goals. We're going to talk about evolution of movement. We're going to talk about the upper cross and lower cross syndromes. Like I said, I'm going to teach you the biomechanics so that you know what to do and what to stay away from. Then we're going to talk about the hip flexors, the psoas muscle. When I was in my Scorpio rage writing this workshop, the reason I was so annoyed is because it was when I first started practice. And nowadays people know that we're not just back pain doctors, but back then it was like hot, low back, hot, low back. Dude, by the time someone is so spasmed down their hip flexors that they can't even walk, right? What the heck do you want me to do about that? It's a major spasm of the hip flexors. You can't even move a spine when it's that bad. So in this rage, I wrote about what you should and shouldn't do, especially if you get hip flexor issues, hip flexor tightness. We're going to talk about that. Exercises to avoid, and then exercises to help strengthen your posture. I'll give you just a couple tools for your tool belt. And then we'll talk about why it's so important to keep your body and also your spine moving. So let's dive in. Why are people hurting themselves from the gym? Well, like I just talked about earlier, our habits, I love this slide. Isn't it funny how it hasn't, like I said, I wrote this slide a long time ago, and it's amazing how now it's gotten even worse from this to this, and don't even get me started. When we go to the BC hockey games, I love looking, we sit next to the fan section, and it blows my mind that college students now have the bump. Remember the old lady bump? It's not quite an old lady bump anymore. We see these humps because everyone's head is so far forward from looking down at phones too long that we're literally remodeling the bone. And then of course I see stupid crap on Instagram, like the gimmicks of, oh, this toy is gonna help you, make that go away. I'd like to see an x-ray that proves that, but I think people are being really self-conscious about it. I see girls and guys. It's funny, I used to get women that come in here, they didn't care about any of the other symptoms going away. They're like, make the bump go away. I'm like, I got you. And I love when we do the x-ray review, and they're like, look, my bump has gotten better. I go, yeah, and you're taller. Go sign my wall. Let's measure you. So our evolution has changed. What we do on a daily basis changed. I would say we were never intended to sit as human beings. When were cavemen ever sit at the computer, right? So we're not made to sit at a computer all day and be on phones and screens and hunched over all day. and yet I still see some of the same exercises that my grandfather was doing back, you know, when he was in the army. Like, come on, give me a break, okay? So, I love that. You know, obviously sitting is horrible for you. I don't need to go into the studies, but it's an increase. If you're sitting all day, it's an increase in heart attack, diabetes, cardiac events, mortality, and so on and so forth. If you sit more than 8 hours a day, it undoes your 1 hour of exercise that you did that day. So it's really important. One of my favorite fitness trainers, she's amazing. She's very big into menopause, perimenopausal health. They call them like little spurt workouts. So if you're on the computer all day, you can like jump up and do little movements just so you're not sitting for long increments of time. It's pretty amazing. I mean, I meet patients all the time that don't understand why their low back is tight and hurts all day, and yet they sit all day at work. They come home, they sit on their couch, or they, even worse, you know, they sit at their computer playing video games. Maybe they have dinner and then they go to bed. Like literally no movement. There are people in our country that don't move at all, which is terrifying. So of course it increases your rate for just about everything disease-wise. So we have the rise of computer posture and phone posture, and I swear to God, I'm going to be like on my soapbox on Rancho Street yelling this. Our postures and habits have changed. Our workouts need to, and this is why I love teaching this in communities that do work out, because we need to talk about this. Upper cross and lower cross syndrome. So I told you I'm going to teach you about the biomechanics, and I'm going to steal one of my favorite people. Can I steal you, Michelle? It's just easier to have somebody. So poor Michelle, I warned her earlier that she was going to be, everyone give her an applause, yay! So the poor girl, I'm going to make her, even though we fixed her beautiful posture, I'm sorry to do this. So I want to demonstrate upper cross and lower cross syndrome. I'm not going to make you do it yet because I don't want to hurt your back.
Okay.
I'll adjust you after. What we're going to talk about is this typical computer posture. And back when I lived in Northern California, we always joked, because what's in Northern California? What's Silicon Valley? Why do they call it Silicon Valley? Especially when I lived there in the 2000s. Because all the engineers, it was all .com bubble. And you would walk around the mall, and I'd say you would always find the engineers because they look like this. And the way you kill an engineer is you stick your thumb right into that pec minor muscle, and they're because it's so tight from them being so rounded. Unfortunately now, that's not just a Silicon Valley thing, that's an everyone thing. And so we need to work against that. So these are the people that you see walk around like this, and I hate to say it, it's like everyone now. So we need to learn how to fix that. All right, so can I have you come on over here?
Sure.
So show me literally the worst posture that would make me cry. Oh God, I don't even like looking at this. Okay, so what is upper cross syndrome? And so just like in this picture, upper cross syndrome is the upper, we're looking at the neck. So what she's showing is this rounded shoulders, forward head posture. Because the spine has contorted like this, imagine the muscle in the front. So come on back to healthy. I can't even look at her like this. It makes me want to cry. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I just want to throw up too. So you have the muscles in the back, the rotator cuff, and I have theories why everyone here has a rotator cuff. I wonder if it's pulled with rounded shoulders for their whole life and they go through a baseball or whatever. Of course they're going to tear the rotator cuff. It's very postural. And then you have the muscle in the front, the pec major, right? So you have the muscle group in the front, the muscle group in the back. And so imagine those as like rubber bands, okay? And then with her neck, I don't even want her to put her head any more forward, but with the upper cross syndrome, you have tight, like the trap muscles, which we know because you can walk around. People usually really have tight trap muscles, right? I know I've been smiling, this is true. And then inhibited like the front of the neck because they're not working as hard, okay? So when her shoulders are forward, these rhomboids get really weak, right? Can I come back? I can't. And then of course your pecs become really tight. The other one is the lower cross, and so we're talking about when someone's forward like this, their hips come forward too. Thank you.
Like
so this. Yeah, so you can see that her hips are in flexion, right? Hip flexion, and we can stand up straight, my love. Her abs would be weak, right, because of that posture, and then of course her glutes would be not as strong, right? So that's this rounded out posture. Thank you. Oh my God, I love you. All right, so I can steal you at another time too.
Okay.
So that's why it's called upper cross and lower cross syndrome, because it literally makes an X where the tight muscles are. So we're talking upper trap, levator scap. We're talking tight pec muscles because there's the cross, inhibited rhomboids, and of course the head is so forward that the core front of the neck is also weakened. Then in the lower, we see tight hip flexors, duh. That's why people who sit all day and are standing around like this throw their back out so easy, whatever that means. I always say throw the back out. Chiropractors laugh at the throw the back out. That doesn't really mean anything. It's a hip flexor spasm due to a really unhealthy low back. So
If we have all of these things with somebody who's walking around like that all day, chronically, what do we need to do to fix this? Well, we need to do the opposite, right? And the big thing we see with these patients walking around is they have tight hip flexors all day, every day. Because when you're in this posture and you're sitting all day, you're literally chronically tight. If I had a tray and I was walking around with it and I'm holding it all day, every day, how's my biceps? Buff, I know, they're amazing, aren't they? They're tight, right? And do you have all the infinite amount of energy in the world? No. So what's gonna happen to the day? They're gonna stay tight. So I'm gonna go home with tight biceps and I'm gonna go do some really heavy curls. Is that gonna help me or is that gonna hurt me and throw me in spasm, right? So these patients are already walking around with really, really, really tight hip flexor muscles. So when they go and do something, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back, right? They're gonna throw themselves into a spasm. So tight hip flexors, what are the hip flexors? It's the psoas muscle. I actually really feel bad for this muscle, like being a psoas support group. Why? Because they're not supposed to work as hard as we make them work. They're a small muscle. What they're supposed to do is create hip flexion, right? It's the only muscle that attaches to the lumbar spine, swoops through the pelvis and into the hip. And so when it tightens, when it shortens, it creates that hip flexion. Psoas is P-S-O-A-S, but it's pronounced psoas. It originates in the lumbar spine and attaches to the femur, obviously. The main job is hip flexion. It's literally one of the most overworked muscles in the body. Why? Because we were never intended to sit all day. If we were, our muscles, actually watch evolution happen and these muscles become enormous, right? Because people just sit way too long. Interesting, if you ever go to yoga classes, they talk about hip flexors as the muscle of the soul. And you know what's funny? When I first graduated, I was this like science geek, I don't believe in any of that voodoo crap. And now the longer I'm in practice, the more I'm like, holy crap, like you really can see this stuff. Not to pick on the men in my office, but I definitely can tell when they're going through something stressful or stressful time. It's always when they have a hip flexor spasm or they're throwing their back out, as people love to say. Because guess where we hold our emotions? And I see this a lot of men and women too, in our hip flexors. When you're upset, what is your posture? Right? So a lot of people hold their emotions in their hips. And so when you go to a yoga class, they do hip opening and they talk about that. I see a lot of people hurt themselves during deaths and divorces and also moving. I think moving is also ranked one of the most stressful things, and also lifting heavy, I'm sure, and awkwardly during moving doesn't help either. So the hip flexor muscles. They call it the great mimicker. Did you have digestive issues when they're tight? It's very interesting. All right, so I love this. Leave my psoas alone, right? So what do we need to avoid so we don't have tight hip flexors all the time, and also upper cross and lower cross syndrome? Is this not like literally every day now? I'm just laughing. That's what I said when I went over the slides. I did update some of the stuff, but it's just insane how accurate this is. Worse. It's not just the business people anymore. This should be a picture of just everybody. You walk over the train station and you see everybody. You want to shoot everyone with my Nerf gun. Like, pick your damn head up. It's crazy. I sit at the gym. I'm always yelling at my trainer. He's like always like this. It's a croissant. All right, prolonged sitting. That will tighten up your hip flexors. Always better to use some kind of wobble disc. I have them over there. You can buy them online, super cheap, or some kind of back support, or you can stand. Of course, standing desks are the ultimate. When I did live in Silicon Valley, that's so funny how things trickle out here later. They used to say sitting is the new smoking. Standing desk is always better than sitting. Standing is always better anyway than sitting. All right, hills, heels, and stairs. Great way to hurt your hip flexors is walking on a treadmill on an incline, because if you're on an incline, I usually draw this out on the easel, but I will save you guys for my wonderful artwork. But if you just use your imagination, if I'm on a nice steep hill and I'm walking up, look at my hip posture as I'm walking up that hill. And I know it's kind of extreme, but what is it tightening up? Now people are like, oh, Dr. Jean, but don't you like hiking? Well, yeah, because if you're going to hike up a mountain, what are you going to do on the way back? You're going to go back down. So you're using the antagonist muscles. If you're only going up, that's an issue, because now you're working out your hip flexors, but you're not working out your glutes going down. So it's fine. I would say if you're going to be a treadmill person, great, run all you want, but stay away from it. If you have tight hip flexors or you have a job where you sit all day, please stay away from hills. just go nice and flat. Stairmasters and all that stuff, those Stairmaster things at the gym, great way to throw your back out. I do not like them. I know, I'm sorry. It's for people who sit, if you don't sit all day, you can, you know, do whatever you want, but this is for people who sit too much and have tight hip flexors. Heels, yeah, heels definitely do it. You probably feel it after weddings where you're wearing heels. Definitely a great way to hurt your low back. Texting posture, my God, that's why I have this here. If I see you texting with your head down, this kind of texting posture, horrible for your head posture, but also your hip flexors as well. Always text with your arms up. Poor reading posture, I love to prop myself on pillows when I read at night. For kids, actually, one of the really good ways with kids is you can have them lay on their stomach and bring their arms up. That's a great way for them to read, because now you're kind of stretching out your hip flexors. It's a great little antagonist exercise for them. Heavy backpacks. What's really depressing for these poor kids is, did you know your backpack's only supposed to be 10% your body weight? This slide always reminds me of my grandmother. May she rest in peace. My grandmother was so funny. She was so pissed off when I was in middle school and even high school, because I had all my bag. My bag was so big and heavy that I'll never forget this. She took my backpack off my bag and put it on a scale because she was so mad about how heavy it was. She wasn't wrong. She wasn't wrong at all. And of course, driving posture. Driving is also sitting, flying. I see. I was trying to. I was like, I'd have my patients on the table like the whole last 2 weeks, be like, so you know how you fly a lot and you drive a lot for your job? Yeah. I'm like, come to my workshop. Listen to it online. So thank you if you're one of those patients tuning in, because all that sitting, airplane sitting, one of my favorite tricks, and I should do a reel on this. Next time I fly, we'll do a reel on this. When you're on an airplane, so you know how you guys roll towels, these guys? You could do this with a sweatshirt on an airplane. So you know you always have like a sweatshirt on an airplane because you never know if it's gonna be hot or cold. So I take a jacket or a sweatshirt, especially if we live in New England. If we're going somewhere warm, you don't really need it anyway. You fold it up, you roll up your sweatshirt, you take it, you put it behind your last rib, and you loosen up your belt. And I'm telling you, it is the best Dr. Jamie flying trick I can give you. So if you get anything out of that workshop, roll up a sweatshirt and throw it behind your last rib. It will make all the difference in the world on an airplane. I think you could do that in the car. I've had people do that before for long driving, but it's still just sitting is just not great for us. Why do I shoot you guys with my Nerf gun when I see you look down at your phone? I mean, this is horrifying. 60 degrees, that's here, right? This is what people look like. This is not me being dramatic. 60 degrees adds 60 pounds to your head. Man, I'm buff and I don't even pick up the 60-pound medicine ball at the gym. I thought that would make you laugh. I think the guys would at least laugh at that. I think I'm funny. Come on. So we've already talked about kind of like exercises to avoid. So everyone take what you learned about upper cross and lower cross syndrome, and now let's apply it to the gym, right? Can you guys think of some exercises now that I probably wouldn't be very happy with, right? Anything where you're tightening up the hip flexors, so any too much hip flexion. This is also very important with people who have disc bulges or disc degeneration, because for a disc to bulge, it's so sad that it's like, it's the same. Does it surprise you that it's the same mechanism for disc bulges and hip flexor tightness? And if you have disc bulges, meaning you have like instability in your low back, what's the only muscle that attaches there that's gonna hold you up? If you have ligament damage or disc damage, I see both in people's spines. It's your muscles. So if your muscles are already tight and holding up your back, and now we're going to the gym and we're doing things like sit-ups, you're crushing the front of the disc, right? With flexion, you're spreading that pressure on that front of the disc. The only direction for a disc to go out is the back corner. So if you squish the front of a jelly donut, where's the jelly gone? Out the back. So if I'm doing, and what do they say it's really bad? You guys remember, they used to have the saying for your low back, what you need to stay away from? You guys remember hearing bend, lift, twist? Is horrible for you. Bend, lift, and twisting, it's bad for you. Go to the gym and watch people with their medicine ball do bend, lift, twist. Does this look familiar? I'm not doing it because I'm not hurting my low back right now, but doesn't that motion look familiar? Great way to hurt your discs. This is why the Army doesn't do sit-ups anymore, is because sit-ups lead to disc bulges, disc herniations. It is so damaging for low backs that they don't do it anymore. Russian twist, I don't care what your abs look like, there are way better ways to strengthen your abs than doing those things, sit-ups and Russian twists. Because this is bend, lift, twist. Bicycles are when you're on your back. I see people stupidly do this at the gym all the time. You know what's funny? My coach, the owner of my gym, never has them up on the board ever. Because you know what? He's really smart. He goes to seminars. He knows his stuff. Hence I go there. but I see dumb people all the time. They do an ab workout at the end. I'm don't even start about ab workouts that are not even ab workouts. And God forbid, like I have once said something to one of my colleagues at the gym, and I was like, that's not really good for your low back. She's like, I don't care, I want abs. Okay, well you're not gonna have abs when you're getting a disc cut out in the hospital for 6 to 8 months. I know, don't get me started. And it doesn't even do your abs, just switch your hip flexors. Leg lifts are also hip flexion. So if you're on your back and you're doing like a lot of leg flutters and you have tight hip flexors, dude, you're gonna hurt your back. So people who sit a lot or have issues at low back should not be doing that. Don't worry, I'll give you the things you should do. So I guess the good news of tonight is no sit-ups. You're gonna hate me in a minute, but no sit-ups. You guys are welcome, right? You guys love me? Thank you. I love you guys too. Stairmaster, we already talked about that. Hills in class, we talked about that. Step classes, they don't see them anymore, but maybe they're still around a little bit. I don't know. I see, oh my God, the thing in LA right now is the kangaroo shoes. Have you guys seen that? Where they're jumping around. I want to try it. I don't know if I fall on my face. I do love my dentist, but not that much. But they have these things, these like jumping shoes. Watch it come out here. I swear everything from LA trickles out. So, and I think that will kind of help you guys too, even with yoga poses. Oh my God, do you know why I hate shoulder stands? Look at her neck. So at least she's neutral, but if you go to a yoga class and you see plow or shoulder stands, you're gonna see them tuck their neck. I don't even like when yoga teachers are like, oh, tuck your chin and come down. We really should not be doing that. When you're coming down into like any type of ragdoll or whatever, your head should be neutral, not tucked. Back when yoga was written, no one was on phones, right? So they didn't think of that stuff back then. These are the things that need to change. Even headstands, oh my God, if you don't have a neck curve and you're standing on your head, sorry, I get really like, whew. It's fine, just leave me alone, I'm busy enough. I don't want to deal with those people. All right, but for yoga, just watch out for these poses. I hate this pose, it's boat pose. It just so bad for your hip flexors. If you're a yogi and that's all you do all day, knock yourself out. If you have a job, you're on your feet all day, you're not sitting a lot, and you don't have tight hip flexors, go for it. But too much boat pose, especially if you're not doing the antagonist stuff, I don't love it. Like for me, I'm bending over patients all day. I have to be careful with my hip flexor. If I'm playing a lot of football tournaments, I have really tight hip flexors from that because, I don't know how to play half. So I stay away from that pose. I'll just go into a child's pose. And, teachers really respect that. So, for those at home, so you guys don't have to worry about that. You guys get workshop credit, so don't worry about the secret words. But for those at home, if you're watching this and you do want workshop credit, reply to the email that you got this today from me for the workshop, or you can just email the office or text our office the secret words. So write down your first one, it's let's. I'm running out of secret words, man. I'm doing my best. I've been doing this for like a long, long time. 14 years? Okay, so let's was the first word, and let's move into the next section. Any questions about biomechanics or anything that you shouldn't do?
Is riding a bike okay?
I like riding a bike. Just make sure that your seat height is right. If it's too low, then you're really in hip flexor territory. Just making sure your height, and you can ask a trainer. Usually they're pretty good about that. Just be like, and you got long legs, so make sure that it's high enough on you. I would ask a trainer to be like, hey, is this at the right level? They'll tell you.
Okay.
You'll feel it too. Spin classes, I go back and forth with because there are some really good teachers, especially like in town, that they'll have you do a spin class, but they also have position 3 where you're upright. And I've seen those, I've given specific exercises for after you're done with Peloton or spin. That's such a great question, where you can get on the floor and do some of the things I'm going to show you tonight to undo some of that posture. So that's a great question. I love the bike, but my bike is an assault bike, and so we're upright, we're not bent over it. So I say watch your posture, and then making sure you do some, watch the seat height, and make sure you do some of those exercises after to undo some of that. So, yeah.
What about the rowing machine?
I love rowing. Once again, make sure you have good posture, make sure you have good form. I've seen some really bad form at my gym. I've actually done the rower wrong myself and hurt my back, so really engage your core when you pull, use your legs. I can't get, it's like golf, man. Like my golf workshop's always like, rule number 1, hire a pro. Make sure you're doing it right. So it's really good to work with trainers just to make sure you're doing those things right. I do love rowers because it's good for your legs, but once again, you're sitting.
Yeah.
So, but making sure you're not just rowing, you're doing other things too. I think that would be a good answer to that for sure. I do love the rower, so.
All right, let's talk about how to reverse it. So now we talked how we messed it up. Let's talk about how we reverse it. Okay, so we're going back to this guy, poor Michelle, when she was my model. So we're going to do the opposite of what we found with this guy. So the weak muscles, obviously, we're going to strengthen, and the tight muscles we're going to stretch. Sounds good? Actually, these feel so good. I'm going to actually make you guys do this with me. So we're going to stretch out our hip flexor muscles, and I'll show you how to do that. Oh, I love hip flexor stretches. We're going to strengthen our abs correctly. So I'm going to show you some really good ab workouts, or things to do for your abs that you probably won't like me, but it's okay. I was like, I said no sit-ups, doesn't mean I'm not going to be mean to you guys. There's other ways to strengthen. Straighten your butt muscles, obviously gluteus muscles. And then of course the upper side, we want to stretch our pecs out, we want to work on our rhomboids, and obviously work on our forward head posture. So here's your thing, if you have years of spinal abuse, this is just my disclaimer, it's really important that you do these every day. You know, 3 times a week is good, I guess, but doing these exercises, I always say that if you work at Jolly Rancher, you're going to brush your teeth more, right? If you really love Jolly Ranchers. If you work at a computer every day, you really should be doing these every day, period. The more you do these, the better, because we have to undo what we've been doing all day. Does that make sense? But also, you cannot brush the floss and cavity away. See, I love these dental analogies. So if you don't see a chiropractor, you're really not getting full range of motion in the spine. I will go over that in a minute when we get to the end. So seeing a chiropractor plus doing these exercises, we have so much, oh my God, there's some interesting studies that show that we cannot correct forward head posture with exercises alone. We have studies that prove that. And you actually can't measure it without an x-ray, which is interesting too. So seeing a chiropractor plus doing these exercises. So doing this alone is not going to fix it. Going to get your neck curve changed structurally and do these exercises, that's the beautiful thing. And obviously, you know, we're not going to get into traction, but traction's wonderful too. All right, so we're going to start with the laziest stretch that I can give you. This is my favorite. Once upon a time, I had a friend who was like a trademark lawyer, and he's like, oh, let me know if you ever need some trademark. And I laughed because it was the only stretch that I feel like I made up the name a long time ago because I was doing it, and I was like, I feel like a big starfish. And so I call it the starfish stretch. If you're a person that likes to sit on a ball, like a yoga ball, while you work on a computer, it is so easy to literally take a break when you hear me yelling at you, because I'm haunting you all day, and just lay back and stretch over. I have a ball downstairs. I apologize, I didn't bring it up. But look at this. It's literally, it'll actually keep your legs straight when you do it. You're stretching out the exact opposite of this. So taking these kinds, I actually love doing this at the gym too, when I actually make my trainer do it, when he's on the phone all the time. I'm like, buddy, stretch out. Just go stretch out on one of the balls, grab one of the balls and just stretch out. This is one of the best stretches you could do for upper cross and lower cross syndrome, and it's so lazy. This is why I love this. Keep it simple, stupid, right? But I would say keeping her legs straight a little bit more in extension, it feels so good. Disclaimer, especially for you guys at home, keep it against the ball. I've seen this go wrong. Keep the ball against the wall. I've seen this go wrong. Or brace it against your bed if you're doing it at home. Because if you're doing it and you don't realize how much core strength you do need to stay on the ball, you might fall off. So making sure you do it against a wall, do it against your bed, just so you don't fall off the first time you do it, because it is a little wobbly. But what's really cool too is when you get really good, you go from here and you just rotate, and now you're in the QL, which is also an inner muscle with the psoas, and now you got a really, really good stretch for that muscle. I love these exercises. These are like my favorite stretches. But like I said, be careful, start with it held or braced against the wall. It is the best lazy stretch of all time. Other ways to stretch the psoas muscle, obviously it's anything with hip extension. See her hip, her knees behind it. And by the way, when we teach kids to stretch their quad, like during like sports, this does nothing. I'm not stretching anything. The only way to get the quad and the psoas stretch is to get the knee back. The knee needs to be behind the butt in order to do that. That's why like a dancer's pose is really good. That will open it up. Anything where the hip is in extension, and you'll feel that. So lunges, so anything where you're stretching up. So like a crescent lunge, warrior poses, those are so good for that hip flexor stretch. Cool. So we're looking for hip extension. This is such a great stretch. You can also do it on a chair. You could do it on a table. The advanced one, which I was actually showing earlier, is if she took her foot and she lifted it. I'm going to try to do it on my table. Hopefully it will not fall off.
But I also want to show you guys how to, I meant to add this and I just totally, I thought I did, apparently didn't save it. I want to show you guys how to foam roll the hip flexor too. This is something I'm constantly showing people at the gym, how to foam roll the hip flexor. Because like I said, mine gets tight with football, so I know what tight hip flexors are. So the way you find your hip flexor tendon, and I'll show you how to stretch it after, you resist hip flexion, and you'll feel it. If you guys want to try it, you can do it while you're sitting. Because all you do is you lift up your hip, resist against your hand, and you'll feel this little tendon pop up. Do you guys feel it? Isn't that crazy? You'll feel it, like the last end just smushes down. You guys feel it? Cool. Is this it? You'll feel it? That's where you can get the foam roller, and if you're down on the ground, I just can't do that with the camera, you can roll it out and really get in there. And you will feel it right on that tendon. It's a great way to foam roll it because it's like an inner muscle. The other side of it is foam rolling on the side of the muscle. You can normally get it that way too. So I just go face down supine, or sorry, face down prone, and I just kind of roll it here. And you can also roll the top of the quad too, which is really good. You can get it. And yes, it will hurt, but it hurts so good, just like John Mellencamp's song. But like I said, the best way to then after you foam roll it, stretching it, grabbing the foot is a great way to open it up. You keeping your arm up. Also, you can pull, and that will help stretch it out. Cool. Any questions? Y'all want to try it? No, I'm just kidding. You guys want to try it? Get on the floor and go try it. And if you guys have questions after, you can come up here and I'll show you how to foam roll it too. So any questions at home? People are like, what the hell is she doing? Okay, cool. Awesome. Awesome. So that's how you stretch your hip flexors. Like I said, they not just stretching them, but foam rolling them. You want to break it up before you stretch it. So foam roll first, stretch after. The other interesting thing about the hip flexors and the psoas muscles, people don't know this, but they crosses fibers with your diaphragm. Remember I said when people are upset, they usually spasm out their hip flexors? So if we're not deep breathing, we're not stretching them out. So I'm gonna actually show you guys a good way to breathe, the healthier way to breathe, because people just don't breathe right, which is really sad. So I'm gonna have you guys sit up nice and straight, and you do it at home, I want you doing this too. And I'm gonna show you how to breathe the correct way. It's amazing that people just don't know how to breathe. And I really want you to aim into that stomach, into that lower part of your stomach, right? So you wanna breathe right in here, right above that belly button. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a deep breath in, and I'm gonna count to 3, and then I'm gonna have you hold it, and we're gonna breathe out for 5. So we're just gonna do a 3-5. Practicing this before you go to bed, I'm telling you, you'll actually fall asleep a lot easier. It will also get you out of that sympathetic state. So I want you to take a deep breath in. 1, 2, 3. Aim here, good. Hold it, tie yourself in present. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do it again. Breathe in, 2, 3. Hold it, beautiful. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good job, you all are breathing in the proper spot. Does that feel good? Usually if I have you guys take more breaths, you actually can feel the chill. But I'm already tired because I stupidly got adjusted today. Shout out Dr. Courtney. And I was laughing earlier. I'm like, oh no, I took a workshop. I get so tired after I get adjusted. My stress response comes down. So, but it feels good. One of my favorite mantras from Louise Hay for the psoas muscle is I release, I relax, I let go. You will hear this a lot in hip opening workshops when it comes to yoga or yoga classes or hip opening. I let go, I release. They say everyone holds their stress. They hold things into their hip flexors. So, good. Now you guys are all falling asleep. Perfect time to make you guys stand up. So, the next thing we're going to talk about is how do we strengthen our glutes. Everyone asks me, what are your favorite, Dr. What should I do at the gym? What should I do at the gym? As much as you're going to hate me for, I told you, you loved me for the no sit-ups, you're going to hate me for the next part. You know what's great for you? Lunges, squats. I know, I'm sorry. But here's the thing, you've got to do them in proper form. If you have tight hip flexors and you're squatting with all the way forward, look what I'm doing with my hip flexors. I see this guy at the gym, he drives me crazy. I actually want to take an x-ray of his low back because I think he's bulged every disc, he just doesn't know it yet. Like if you're holding a kettlebell or weights and you're squatting forward, what am I doing to my hips? My hip flexion, right? So it's all about having good form. And so I like to start before I even work, like for warm up, I'll find a bench, stand up nice and straight like a kettlebell, and I'll just squat down and back up. See how I'm more upright than me bending over. So yes, there is some hip flexion, but I'm not going extreme into it, especially with the weight. So keeping really good posture, squatting to a bench and coming on up is really good. People are always like, oh, deadlifting is so whatever. Do you like deadlifting? I love deadlifting because I can do it with good posture and I know what my low back looks like. I have a healthier low back than a lot of people I see. So always keeping good posture. If you're doing anything from picking up a medicine ball, if you're doing it with a rounded back, you're gonna hurt yourself. Always keep your butt down when you're picking up a ball or if you're doing a deadlift. You always wanna keep that low back curve. You don't want to round out your low back. It's another way to hurt yourself. But bird dog is one of my favorite antagonists. I'll show it. Don't worry, Michelle. Poor Michelle is like, oh my gosh, she'll want to work out close. So this is one of my favorites. It's on one of my website too. The bird dog exercise is like on all fours, and you're just going back and forth. It's actually also really good for your brain. You're squeezing your butt. It's really good. That cross crawl is really good for your brain as well. That's something really good to add to a warm up. So maybe some healthy squats, bodyweight squats. Warm up with some bird dogs, some cat cows, really great. Dolphin exercise, swing on the floor and you just kind of come up. I'm not going to pick on Michelle. Lunges and squats, lunges with good posture. Sorry guys, they actually are really good for you. Airplanes and bridges, actually these are really good for you too. We do these at like a yoga class where you're coming down. That's why I've been I don't know if you guys do Russian deadlifts. Those are really good as long as you have good posture because you're also strengthening your glute as well. So hopefully I mentioned something that you guys already do at the gym. Here's your bad news also. Guess what's also really good for you, for your abs? Plank. Once again, I'm sorry, because who likes doing planks? I don't know if anyone likes doing planks. There are fun little modifications for planks. If you want to look up body saws or put sliders on your feet. You can use bands. There's some band exercises that are really good also for your core, and feel free for a patient of mine to ask me some more questions about that. I give you recommendations. But really, it comes down to do a plank. That's another great thing before we exercise. If you're a runner, it's a great thing to do before you run because now you're going to get your body ready. You just put some, you just got ready. You just put your armor on. You're ready to move now. So it's so protected to do before working out. I love to do ab workouts before I get on an airplane because I know I'm going to sit for a long time. It's going to protect me, protect my hip flexors before a long plane ride. So, but making sure you do it right. Plank, if you're like me and you get bored really easily, you can do, up, down, or you can hold it side plank, also really good for you. You can do it on a medicine ball, do some circles. There's so many variations. The only type of crunch that I like, if you guys have the fulcrums at home, if you don't, it's because your spine doesn't, you have like a different spine, but if you do have the lower back fulcrum, if you notice, you're going from extension to, I would say, till tabletop, your body's flat. So if you really love crunches and you get really mad at me for this, if you want to do them, fine. Grab a Bosu ball, go up and over the Bosu ball, and then come up to straight because there's no hip flexion there, and back. So you're just from extension to straight. Does that make sense? So you're not going all the way up to that hip flexion. Any questions about that? Let's say you guys probably, if you have any questions, ask because someone at home watching it tomorrow might be like, oh, I wish you would have added to that. Questions? Are you mad at me? Okay. A little mad? Now you realize that you really damaged your back when you were younger because our PE teachers wanted to do 100 sit-ups? Isn't that wild? And I was a soccer player, so we were doing sit-ups and headers. No wonder my poor neck hurt looked like trash.
Jamie, you talk about leg lifts not being great. What about like sideway leg lifts, like laying on your side?
Great.
Are those okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. There's something really cool called Copenhagen, or I say Copenhagen is my father, but Copenhagen lifts, where you actually can put your knee on a bench and do the other way too. And so it's good to have both. Yeah, those are all really good for you.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's side. I like that. Look at you. I love it. All right. So, since now you're all falling asleep, I'm going to wake you all up. So, we talked about the low back. Now we're going to talk about the neck, or the upper cross. Remember we just did lower cross? So if we're like this, we're going to get you like this. So the teacher that taught us these exercises, which is so funny because even at my gym now they're doing the Y's and the W. We did the Y raises today. I'm laughing like I'm teaching this tonight. This is something you guys can do every single day. And what was really cool, our professor for the wellness movement class that I took for this, before I taught this, he challenged us to do this every single day for 1 month to see what our posture would be like when we were after that month. And let me tell you, it was so different. So you guys can do this every day. I'm going to give you something that takes all of a minute and a half. Don't you dare tell me you don't have time to do something that only takes a minute and a half a day. You guys can all commit to that? So I'm gonna challenge you guys for 2 weeks, I won't say a full month, to do this every single day. Cool? So this is the time I'm gonna wake you guys up, at least the guys at home. So everyone at home, I want you to get up, and my audience down, and have you get up. We're gonna do, like I said, it's a minute and a half to help with our rounded shoulders. Make your kids do this, make your teenagers do this. This is so important for everybody. So it's funny, you remember doing the YMCA? So we should have called the YWTL. So no, we're not gonna sing, don't worry. So I'm gonna take you through the set of YWTL. And what you're gonna do is when you're in that posture, you're going to squeeze your rhomboids together. This is a rhomboid, the rhomboid connects from your thoracic, your mid-spine, to your wing bone, which is your scapula. So you're gonna squeeze that together, right? So that's gonna really help bring your shoulders back, okay? So I want everyone to bring your arms up like a Y, palms to the ceiling, okay? And then you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together for 15 seconds. Ready, go. 15. Squeeze, 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 palms to the ceiling, palms to the ceiling. Ask the universe for money. All right, let's drop down to W. So so we're making a big W. Our palms are still to the ceiling, and we're bent at the elbow. Good, keep squeezing. I didn't tell you to stop. Keep squeezing, squeeze, 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 squeeze. I know, it's harder than it looks, right? Cool. And then let's go out to T, palms to the ceiling. Remember, we're asking the universe for money. This way you won't forget it. Cool, keep squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. You notice how down the muscles, it's going low, low, low on the rhomboid? Good, and now we're at the very bottom of the rhomboid by dropping our elbows in and making an L. Now squeeze, 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 squeeze. So you just worked out the entire rhomboid, which is really cool. Awesome, nice. Is that cool? Now, we strengthen the back, but now we need to stretch the front. I have a couple of good doorways if you guys want to do this, or you can just go through the wall. There's a few ways to stretch the pec muscles. One of my favorite and laziest ones you can do is you can put your forearms into a corner, you just fall into a corner, and you'll open up that pec muscle, those pec muscles. This is probably the easiest thing. You'll probably see this with two patients. You also can find a wall, if you guys want to do this in the back, find a wall and you can just open up your pec muscle on each side, so you're just stretching out that shoulder, and it feels really good. Yay! You can also fall into a doorway if it's not too wide. You can find a doorway and you can just fall right into it. Good. Make sure you do both sides. Cool. You guys are better than me. See, I'm lazy. I do both at the same time. Doorways, especially thin doorways, are really great because you can just kind of fall into it and open it up. Good. Does that feel good? Everyone can do that? So it's 15 seconds for each letter and 30 seconds of a stretch in a doorway or a corner. Questions? Y'all are challenged. Let's do that every day for 2 weeks. Cool? Good times. I love it. All right, cool. All right, so if you guys forget or you watch this and you're like, I don't know, what did she say for some quick back exercises? On our website, if you go to the community page, we did a film on my 3 favorite low back exercises, and I demonstrate really well a cat-cow, a bird dog, and a proper plank. And those 3 things, I would say, if you do them every day, it's so good for your low back. Probably one of my favorites. All right, so go to our website, check out our video. We did a really good job. It's very professional too. That's what happens when my old quarterback was a videographer. Oh, that's one of my, okay, and then now we're gonna take you to my other favorite exercise, which is way harder than it sounds. My poor hairstylist, I make her do this because she's bent over doing hair all day. So this is also really good if you're a hygienist or a dentist where you're bending over people all day or really hunched. So this is one of my favorite exercises for upper cross syndrome. It is so much harder than it seems. If you guys want to try it after the workshop, I'll walk you through it. So there's 4 points of contact. Your heels, we call these the goalpost exercises. Your butt, your shoulders, and your head. And so I'm very active right now, pushing all 4 points against the wall. This is where it gets hard. If you can really forward head, this is actually really hard to do. You're gonna put your arms against the wall, and the thing is, I'm gonna make this look easy. I can touch it, no problem. And I'm really keeping it active, The exercise goes like this. As I'm keeping my 4 points active, bringing my arms up to touch together and then back to a big goal post. So at home, if you want to go try this, find a wall right now and try it. And what you want to do is not let your arms come up against the wall. I make it look easy. It is not easy. Doing like a few of those every day, especially if you're working on a computer, it's a great break to take. Find a wall. Like I said, I make my hairstylist do it between her appointments because she's a great wall for it. And actually at her old studio, she had a better wall for it. So,
What do you mean don't let your arms come up?
you want to try it?
Don't let your arms come against the wall.
Come away.
So don't let it go against.
yes.
So you want them actively against the wall, and you'll notice as it goes up, it's going to try to inch
Okay.
against the wall. That's the hardest part of it, is keeping your arms against
Pressed
the wall.
against the wall.
I'll have you try it after. We can try it after the workshop. It'll be fun. All right. Oh, that takes me to the second word for those at home is get. Second word, get. And everyone's like, where are we going with this? I hope I did spell this out right. We'll find out. This is what happens when I run out of words. So just some fun, healthy movement tips that have worked for me, have worked for my patients. Like I said before, working with trainers are really important. If you're a golfer and you've never worked with a pro, please go get a pro. We all need coaches. Even Tiger Woods has a coach, for heaven's sake. All the PGA Tour guys do. Why? Because if you're golfing and you're not doing it correctly with good biomechanics, you can't see yourself. I can't see myself. That's why I have a coach. I have trainers at the gym, because I can't, like I said, I can't see myself. I want to make sure I'm not doing anything stupid. So making sure you hire a trainer or someone to work with that really knows what they're talking about. It is golf season. Please, for God's sake, if you're a golfer, talk to a pro. If you're a tennis player, talk to a coach. It is so important that we have good form, good biomechanics. It's a great way to hurt ourselves. I've actually been trained in golf biomechanics. I used to do sports injury, and I love walking. I don't golf, but I love being a jerk. I love walking up to a drive range going, low back, knees. Oh, say goodbye to that elbow. Like, it's really fun. You can see just from biomechanics of what someone is going to injure. So, and you know what I love about having a trainer is you hold each other accountable. And I love having gym buddies because they also hold you accountable. You're actually going to show up. Don't be afraid to say no. If there's an exercise you're like, ooh, I don't think Dr. G is going to like me if I do this. Ask them for a modification. There's no harm in that, you know. And if someone challenges you on that, they're not a very good trainer. I've had very few trainers challenge me on that, but the one thing is, like, you know, your doctor doesn't recommend it. So, I mean, I don't think there's really an answer against that. If you haven't exercised in a long time, I think the very first step is just put on comfy shoes and exercise clothes. It's amazing what happens when you just put those clothes on. Maybe you'll go for a walk, right? That's always step number one. Joining classes, once again, holds you accountable. That's why I love going to the gym and hold it, you know. What I do too, what I don't recommend too is paying per visit, per class. I just think there's no accountability there. If you pay for like a certain amount of sessions a month, it's gonna hold you accountable. It's gonna make you wanna go because you don't wanna pay them more for class, right? But if you pay for class, like, oh, I don't wanna pay the $45, I don't wanna, you know, or whatever. It holds you accountable. And so, of course, with my gym, it's a membership. So, of course, I want to get as much out of that membership as possible. So, I will go. Same with yoga. I would always have memberships to yoga studios because it actually forces me to go. Avoid ab classes. I still see stupid stuff being done there unless you know that it's a really good coach or trainer who's done the work. Some of the trainers, you know, you'll see a lot of people who are injured who are trainers, because they worked out the wrong way for so long, and now they have to have, like, you know, knees replaced, hip replaced, whatever. But there's a lot of good trainers out there that really do know what they're talking about. So instead of needing somebody for coffee or food, meet for walks. And especially in New England right now, I love doing this workshop during the better seasons, warmer season, because what a great time to go for a walk. You know, the sun's out late, it's great, it's in my face, it's wonderful. Join the sports team, right? I know I have some people here who are hockey players. Doesn't it hold you accountable? It's fun exercise, right? When I'm playing football, I don't think I'm exercising. I mean, my body reminds me the next day that I did exercise. But I love it. I love playing on sports teams. I love that kind of fun exercise where you don't even realize you're exercising. I'm a skier. I love skiing because it's accidental exercise. And the camaraderie, I love my teammates, especially my football team. My God, I love them so much. I'm going to miss them this summer. It's just fun. And you're exercising without realizing it. Taking the stairs, making sure you go up the stairs and down the stairs. Parking farther away adds great steps. It was funny, I was just listening to a podcast too. Another one of my favorite fitness guys was just like, we just need to move more. We need to walk more. So any chance you can just walk more, take it. It all adds up. Whether you're parking further away or you're like, you know what? Like, even for me, I'm like, I can walk to work. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna walk to Kid Dream, or I'm gonna walk to the bank instead of taking my car. And also, gas is really expensive, so using our bodies is free, and it's good for us, right? Playing with your kids. When my best friend Leslie, when my godkids were little, I couldn't
I just can't understand, like, when parents would be around and, like, on their phones while their kids are on the playground. I'm like, this is the one time you get to be a kid again. So, of course, I'm the idiot on the playground with the kids. I loved it. I love being able to play with the kids. I'm actually volunteering to help coach a soccer clinic on Saturday. I cannot wait. I'm like, what a great excuse. Hopefully my foot's better. But what a great excuse to be outside and play soccer with a bunch of kids. I'm going to kick their butts. No, I'm just kidding. It'll be nice, I promise. But I haven't coached soccer in so long, and it's a really cool program that we're doing, so I'm so excited about it. And then, of course, just even if you just do 3 of the stretches, 3 of the exercises I gave to you tonight, isn't that going to make a heck of a lot of difference? Of course it is. So let's do it. Let's get moving and also get adjusted. So let's talk about how chiropractic kind of moves into this. And so, of course, we don't need this slide. We know exercises. You guys all know exercise is important for us. Okay, cool. And there's really no substitute for movement. I see some really weird contraptions, like those shocking devices. We got to stop with that crap. It is very strange. But yeah, there's no substitute for healthy movement. The problem is, if our spine's not healthy, we're not getting full benefits of exercise. So let's talk about that. So the movement of the spine is the gateway to exercise health, right? It is the bridge from your exercise through your nervous system to your brain. So let's talk about why. So the problem is, we have these things called subluxations. I always love saying it's the enemy of healthy movement. Why? Because, guys, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. I got some new patients and patients who've been with me for a long time. Let's see if you guys remember this. When you have a misalignment in your spine, what happens to that joint? It misaligns. What happens to a zipper that doesn't line up? It gets, does it move? No.
Get stuck.
Gets stuck, right? Thank you. That's my favorite word. So when that doesn't move, a few things happen. One, the joint's decaying, right? We all know that. We prevent arthritis, which is bomb. Actually, I was going to add that slide, but I behaved myself. But it stops the movement. The movement is insanely important for something called proprioception. Do you guys remember being in my office and doing this? Remember that? What is proprioception? It's our body's ability to perceive ourselves, where we are. It only activates with movement. Well, what's not good is when we have those misalignments, it's not moving. Did you guys know that it actually activates something called nociception, which is the opposite? I don't even go into this usually. Nociception is the opposite, the antagonist of proprioception. So it actually creates a stress response to your body. So your subluxations, your misalignments actually cause you stress. Isn't that wild? So when I adjust you, I guess you're welcome, we create proprioception and we decrease that stress response, which is really cool. And your body needs proprioception. We know this. You know, I could be entertaining as heck, but if you guys are sitting here for an hour, are you awake or are you exhausted? Exercise wakes our brain up. We know that. When I had you guys moving around, did you feel a little bit better? If I had you moving and doing the spinal stretches right now, you would wake up. Our brain needs movement. This is why I always laugh when I'm at yoga and they're like, clear your mind. I'm doing warrior pose. Clear your mind. Focus on your breath. I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot to buy that at the store. Oh crap, I forgot to go to the bank today. Your brain is going because you're moving your body, you're moving your spine. But if you're not getting that healthy proprioception, you're literally, like my favorite analogy, because our proprioception creates that healthy movement of the brain, or healthy impact of the brain, but if we don't have that, if we're subluxated, because we've never seen a chiropractor before, by the way, exercise does not fix segmental movement in your spine. There's plenty of studies that show that. We're the ones who create that. Without a chiropractor, you can exercise till the cows come home, but you are not going to create healthy movement of the spine, and you cannot prevent arthritic change segment by segment. So when we exercise, we're getting good proprioception through the movement, mostly of our spine, to our brain. So if that's not happening, we're not getting that. And that's why what's so cool about the adjustments that, you know, and I feel like I'm constantly on my soapbox about this with people. Oh, I exercise, I don't need to see a chiropractor. No, you exercise so you need to see a chiropractor. Because exercise cannot create segmental motion in the spine. By the way, if our spine wasn't supposed to move segment by segment, we wouldn't look like this. We would just be a pole with holes for the nerves to come out, right? So the movement of each segment individually is so important to stop arthritis, right? Because that's how you prevent arthritis. But also, the proprioceptors that sit in these little joints, they only activate with motion. And so when we don't get that, we're not getting full Wi-Fi to our brain. I love that. It's my I actually corrected somebody the other day who was a chiropractor because they were like, oh, I forgot the analogy they use. I'm like, I was in Florida and I was like, no, it's Wi-Fi. And they're like, what? I go, it's Wi-Fi signal. It's not pressure on nerves. It's Wi-Fi. Like, what do you mean by that? I go, well, it's something called sensory motor integration, which is basically a fancy way of saying if you're messed up in your spine, your Wi-Fi signal sucks. So the information getting uploaded to your brain sucks, and the information going out sucks. She goes, wow, that's a really good way to describe it. So I was like, keep it simple, man. Keep it simple, stupid. So every time you get adjusted, I'm decreasing your stress response and allowing you to get that full, all the great advantageous effects of movement. So if you're not getting that, you're not getting that full benefit of healthy movement. So I threw this in there because I always have to add studies. But here's a really cool study, and this is not a new one either. This is one of the ones from my, when I go over chiropractic research. It's just a study that shows that they've actually measured the movement that we create when we adjust you segmentally. So we know that we create that segmental motion, which unlocks everything. And that was an old studies because we know now that that unlocks everything, which is pretty amazing, and stimulates your brain, which is so neat. When we don't have healthy moving joints, it's linked to everything from arthritis to heart dysfunction, increased heart rate, headache, jaw pain, you name it, stress, anxiety, that's through the brain, through the prefrontal cortex, very strange things that we have studies that link this to, but also poor athletic performance. What's really interesting is we knew this a long time ago. I wonder what it is now, population-wise, because this is an old study that showed that hyperkyphotic spines, meaning that people who have too much kyphosis in their thoracic spine, had a 2.4 greater mortality rate. This is a study where they took a bunch of seniors and they put them on their backs and they measured because some of their heads didn't touch the pillow or touch the bench because it was so forward, and they found the link to that mortality. And there's been so many studies that link forward head posture to different types of brain dysfunction, which is really interesting. So we know that problems in our spine affect problems in our brain because of the prefrontal cortex. I'm running out of time, so I don't want to go through that. But I want to actually show you this quick little video before I run out of time. And I know we started a little bit late. Let's see if we can get this to work. Yay! Oh, I love when things work. So this is how chiropractic affects performance. This is why athletes love chiropractors. Let's go. I can also post this on our...
Do you work out at the gym, pumping iron to get stronger? If you do, you may be fascinated to know about this recent study conducted in New Zealand, because the way your spine works actually influences how strong you are. In 2014, a group of researchers at the Centre for Chiropractic Research in Auckland, New Zealand, studied the effects of chiropractic care on a group of students. They measured how strong some of the lower leg muscles were in these students, and they also tested how strong the contraction messages from their brains were to their leg muscles before and after a single session of chiropractic care, as well as before and after a control session. They found that the students who received chiropractic care were actually able to produce 16% more force in their leg muscles after the chiropractor had gently checked and adjusted any dysfunctional spinal segments, or what chiropractors call vertebral subluxations. In contrast, the students in the control group that did not get chiropractic spinal adjustments were weaker after the control intervention. This is because their leg muscles were getting tired or fatigued from having to repeatedly contract during the testing session. This is really interesting because both groups of students had to repeatedly contract their leg muscles over and over again. But when the students received chiropractic adjustments, their leg muscles did not fatigue, and instead they were actually able to produce more force. This study shows clearly that spine and nervous system function actually impacts the way your brain is able to produce force, and can prevent your muscles from fatiguing during repeated strong muscle contractions. And it gets even more exciting, because it turns out that the New Zealand-based scientists had used the same methods and techniques as another group who looked at what changed within the brain and central nervous system when people either underwent 3 weeks of endurance training or 3 weeks of strength training. The New Zealand group's results after a single session of chiropractic care was just about identical to what this other group of researchers found in their subjects that had done 3 weeks of strength training. This suggests that your spine's function can have a profound effect on the way your brain can produce strength in your muscles. The same New Zealand group followed up their study in elite taekwondo athletes, and again showed that even in a group of elite, highly trained athletes, a single session of chiropractic care can improve their strength and prevent fatigue. A lot more research needs to be done because we do not yet know how much longer these strength changes last. But these studies highlight that spinal function has a far greater impact on our health and performance than we previously realized.
I love it because there are more studies now, but I love the Taekwondo study. I actually go over that with chiropractors. It's pretty cool. You know, it's funny. I laugh at this because like I feel like every year when the kids go back to sports or they pick sports, I get stories where I'm like, oh yeah, it's 16% more. Like two of my chiropractic kids, they're in high school and they really enjoy long jump and they're really good at it. And I'm like, I wonder why. So it just always makes me smile. I had another kid who got really good at high jump, and when he first started seeing me, he was just plateauing, and then we started adjusting him. And his senior year, he just kept PRing. So that was pretty cool. So I always go back to that study. I'm like, oh, you're 16% stronger. I think when I really know that I'm doing my job educating patients is when I have the kiddos that are trying out for sports call me to get adjusted before tryouts. Whether it's better proprioception, so they know that they're throwing the ball better because you know your arms are better, or they have more strength when they're going to competition. Like I have patients who are weight trainers and stuff like that, and they definitely notice the difference. Unfortunately, the girl that I played football against the Super Bowl, the quarterback, I was trying not to adjust her before a game that week, but you know, Hippocratic oath, and she will tell you that she is really throwing the best she's ever thrown. Unfortunately, she doesn't play on my team, but it's okay. I still love her. So, but how do we know if we have subluxations? I mean, I don't think we see any of the other. I think it's these two we see now, right? I don't think we see the other ones anymore. Maybe, yeah, well, I guess hyperlordosis, we do see this kind of posture, but how do we know if our spine's messed up? Duh, our posture. And we see this all the time. I think it's funny when I haunt you guys, I'll have patients come all the time like, oh my God, Dr. Jamie, you should have seen this guy on the train. You would have shot him and then given him your card. I'm like, yeah, it's gotten really bad. So, you know, one of my favorite expressions, you cannot brush and floss a cavity away. You cannot exercise a subluxation away. So it's so important to make sure your spine is moving segmentally with chiropractic care, that you don't have subluxations or misalignments in your spine, so that we don't go down the road of arthritic change. It's so important to keep your spine healthy and maintain it, just like our teeth, just like our heart, everything else in our body. When I hear, oh my God, there was this guy at the gym that really pissed me off, and I really behaved myself. I overheard a conversation. They did not know who I was or what I did, and he was so arrogant, and he said some other things that really were just disturbing. But of course, he said something like, I just don't understand why chiropractors make you come back to maintain your spine, or why they make you still keep coming back. And I'm laughing going, so you understand that you have to go to the gym regularly to maintain your health, and you have to go to the dentist regularly, you have to go to the barber regularly to maintain your haircuts, but you don't understand why you have to maintain the health of your spine in a world where we're working against cell phones, sitting too much, people destroying their spines on a regular basis. But you don't understand that? So I behaved myself that time. He didn't catch me in a bad mood, but it just blows my mind. Because if you're working out that heavy and you're not having good biomechanics, if your posture's off and you really want to lift heavy and you're lifting like this, what are you doing to your disc on that side? So it's so important to have healthy posture while you're exercising as well. So like I said, my favorite expression, you can't brush and floss the cavity away. You can't exercise and stretch a subluxation away. So that's important to see in a chiropractor. So that takes me to the third secret. I had to throw Star Wars in there. Come on, I had to throw something Star Wars in there. Your third secret word is moving. So I'm gonna wrap up the workshop tonight. So thank you guys for coming. If you have any questions, patients that are watching it, don't forget to send the secret words to Molly and Betsy. You can reply to the email with the secret words. You guys are already got credit. Don't worry. 4 credits, you get a credit to your account, which is kind of cool. It's like our gift to you for actually caring about your health and wellness and coming to my workshops. I know you guys probably have questions. You guys have questions at home. I did go through a bunch of information pretty quickly. Ask me. If something pops in your head, you're like, ooh, I've been doing this at the gym, should I not be doing this, or how can I modify it? Dude, I'm happy to help you. I also usually make a deal with anyone who attends the Healthy Movement Workshop. If you want to go to a class or you want to go to a workout and you just don't want to go alone because it's intimidating, I can be your buddy. This got me to Aqua Zumba with a bunch of old ladies one time, so now I'm always hesitant to say I'll go. But if you ever need a yoga buddy or some kind of buddy to go, I don't run, so if you want a runner, you can go bother my friends at Gentilly Brewing Company for their run club. But anytime you guys need a buddy, I'm here for it, and thank you guys. And I'm gonna try to make some more reels of how to stretch your hip flexors, what to do at the gym, just some short clips for you guys as well. So thank you guys so much for coming, and I appreciate it. Don't forget to send your secret words, and have a great night. So, so long.